Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to this 120th edition of Clarity Chat. Today we have with us Ritesh Arora, Chief Digital Officer of Polycab India, one of India's largest and most profitable electrical consumer businesses working towards a greener future. Hey Ritesh, welcome to the session.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good, good. So Ritesh, something on top of everybody's minds is this outage that happened yesterday with CrowdStrike. I can say human error. So,
Yeah,
how was the view from the ground from your side on it?
yeah. So fortunately, we were not, really impacted, but could happen to anyone because last weekend, actually, I pulled an all-nighter because a similar kind of thing happened in one of our applications. So it was someone who was deploying forgot to mark one flag, and because of that we had to spend the next 2 days fixing it. So I have my full empathy and sympathy to the guys at Crowdstrike. Can happen to anyone, and the kind of world, hyper connected world that we are living in, it's become like an organism, like a human body. One thing goes wrong, then it has a cascading effect. So
Yeah, and I think it's also that the distribution didn't happen. So I was seeing a creative today morning in one of the groups that CrowdStrike is a dominant player in all the industries. They provide the security solutions. So and that's why the impact was much larger, because it wasn't that it was 20% or 30%, more than 50%. Yeah. Hey, thanks Ritesh, and good to know that you had your share of outages 1 week earlier, so and you didn't have a second weekend all nighter. Well, so guys, let's come back to the chat. So, a quick intro about Ritesh. Ritesh has 28 years of experience in automotive, digital consulting, and electrical industries. He started his career in Tata Motors, then joined Maruti's Central DMS program, where he found his calling in technology, before moving to Infosys and TCS. And after a decade of hectic travel, he moved from consulting to a CDO role at CET. Now he is CDO at Polycab, driving digital transformation initiatives. He's a customer-centric innovator, believer, and evangelist in his newfound passion, longevity and health, and that's what we're going to spend a lot of our time today on. Uh, I was intrigued by what's longevity, and then Ritesh explained that it is not just fitness, but nutrition, sleep, thermoregulation, and minimalism. And he will share his journey experience, why and how professionals should prioritize health and longevity. And well, his leadership philosophy is the job of a leader is to make her job redundant. And we'll hear more about it as we go on. So uh, we will, as usual, cover his life story, but our focus will be on themes of customer-centric innovation, clarity and self-awareness, people and collaboration, and longevity, health and fitness. The balance. Well, the discussion will not have a balance. It will be more focused towards longevity. And well, we will end the chat with a rapid fire round to bring out the personal side of Ritesh, and then a reverse question to me. So for now, Ritesh, before we start talking of serious things, let's get some energy going up. Please share, one of the more, let's say, the most interesting incident in your professional life.
yeah, I think there are a few, but I think the one that tops the list is an incident that had happened when I had just started my career. So I started out in '96 with Tata Motors. That time it was telco, and in '98 Indica launch happened, and there were, as we all know, there were a lot of issues with the car in the beginning. So there were a lot of customer complaints, and that time all of this email, and even email was a bit new. My boss used to tell me, say, email bhi kar do, courier bhi kar do, fax bhi kar do. So so those were the days. And then I came across an IIT professor who had an Indica. He was quite unhappy, and I helped him out. So he said, why don't we start a Yahoo groups, which was closest to social media in those days. And he said, we will get all. all Indica customers there, and whoever has a problem, you could help them out. So it started out that way, and I think it was going on very well. And I was trying to address as many issues as possible. And I used to share latest updates and news also on that forum, because many of those guys were automotive enthusiasts also. And around that time, Qualis was also there, and that time Qualis had a couple of accidents where the vehicle overturned, right? And in those days, Tata had Sumo, so Sumo's higher CG was always a point of discussion in terms of vehicle stability. So that was a mail chain which originated from Rajiv Dubey, who was executive director, and there were a lot of top shots and even board members in the mail trail. And I wanted to share that piece of information. And in my eagerness to share, I shared the entire mail trail with everyone's mail IDs and the comments, internal comments, and I posted that on on the forum. So that was like one big blooper right at the beginning of my career.
And how did that impact you? What happened afterwards?
So actually, fortunately, it didn't hit the press or anything of that, but it obviously became quite a big issue. Uh, it became such a big issue that I offered my resignation also. But my boss at that time, he was very understanding, and he said, "At least you were trying something new. So you have failed. It's okay." Though he got a lot of flack for this, but he didn't let me come in the line of fire and encouraged me to keep doing the stuff that I was doing. So
Uh, so he
yeah,
protected you,
yeah, he did.
and thereafter you've been protecting your subordinates.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think we'll get to talk about more of a little more of it later. But before we go with the serious stuff, Ritesh, I just wanted to acknowledge our audience. Um, we get some analysis from LinkedIn, and we kind of get to know that we have CXOs, founders, IT managers, and seasoned technology industry leaders in our audience. A lot of them are actually silent listeners, so I want to acknowledge them even if they're listening silently. Well, all of us know that technology is necessary but not sufficient to drive the business performance. The guests on Clarity Chat, like you, have built the bridge between the necessary and sufficient with the art of managing technologies. And Clarity Chat builds the bridge between their learnings and all of our audience who are trying to make a powerful impact with technology. So, thank you everyone for joining us for the last 119 episodes and encouraging us with your interactions and questions. And we do see some audience out there. Let me request all my audience to share their name and where they are joining from in the comment box of LinkedIn or YouTube. Well, when we are in a studio setting like this, we feel that we are talking to each other, and the only way to for us to know that, hey, who all are listening is for you to give us a small ping. Okay, so please do that, and thanks for attending. Let's get on with curiosity on Ritesh. But meanwhile, Amrinder is here, and greetings to everyone from Nama Mangaluru. Good evening, Ritesh, Arora, and Jagdish Belwal. Hey, thanks, Amrinder, for attending, and
Hi.
it's so nice to see you. And so Amrinder knows the drill. So even before I say, guys, share your name and where you're joining from, he puts it out there
He seems to
beforehand.
be
And
a
I like
regular.
this. Yeah. He's our. I think if we have to give a Clarity Chat the most regular audience award, that would definitely go to Amrinder. Well, we have some people who have kind of woken up, and yes, we have Satya Prakash Bomaraju from Texas. Wow, thank you, Satya, for joining. We have Priya Shah from UK, and we have Anand Mangalam from USM. Hey, thank you guys. Thank you for joining, and let's get on with our question answer. So, Ritesh, we all start out as graduate engineers and then follow our journey. So it is a good idea to recap some of that journey as to what were the stairs that you climbed before reaching here. So give us an education starting give us a overview starting from education, company's roles, and maybe just one takeaway on how that role paved the way to the next one.
Yeah. So I did my engineering from Chandigarh, and that also is an interesting story why I went to Chandigarh. So basically, I got through Kurukshetra, REC, and Chandigarh.
Well. Ritesh, hold that back for the rapid fire. That's my rapid fire question for you.
Okay. Cool, cool. So then I joined Tata Motors. That time it was telco, and I think the biggest takeaway. So I was in customer service that point of time. I used to take care of dealers from the perspective of service management, and learned a lot about customer service. Learned a lot about handling disgruntled customers, and one of my bosses at that time really taught me how to deal with people, talk to people. I had another mentor there who taught me how to deal with crisis whenever crisis situation happened. So a lot of interesting takeaways from that. And if I can broadly, segregate my career into phases. Phase one was automotive industry, where I did this stint with Tata Motors, and then with the Maruti, which was all about a lot of systems and processes. So I really learned how to work in a highly system driven, process driven environment. And then phase two of my career was consulting, and I did 5 years with Infosys, and almost the same time with TCS. So that's where I got into business consulting and explored the world, explored your business practices in various other parts of the world. And so it was a big learning in itself. And then the phase three was about driving digital transformation. So I've been now a CDO for 8 years, 6 years with CAT, and now for the past 2 years with the Polycab. And incidentally, Jagdish, after joining CAT, it was the first time I delivered a project. Till that time, I had only done consulting. I had never been an active driver in a delivery project. So that was a very, very steep learning curve for me. Made a lot of mistakes initially, but then there were a lot of good partners who were really helpful in helping me carve my path.
No, awesome. So, just to give a quick recap, first phase automotive, second phase consulting, third phase digital transformation. Starting point was protect your subordinates, learn customer service, crisis handling. I'm sure handling the first set of customers of Indica was a big lesson in managing
Yeah,
crisis,
yeah,
which you
yeah,
also mentioned. Yeah.
yeah.
Then systems and processes in Maruti. I mean, just for the audience, when I was part of the team building the CRM, the centralized CRM DMS for Tata Motors I think around the same time, Ritesh was doing the same at Maruti.
That's correct.
And we
That's
discovered that when we were talking to each other while preparing for this. And then, finding the calling into consulting, exploring the world, getting tired, and becoming a CDO. So awesome.
correct.
So Ritesh, um, uh, one of the things that kind of defines you is this customer-centered innovation, and that's something that you kind of figured out early in your career. So tell us about how that has kind of got built up, reinforced, and and how it is helping you now.
Yeah. Yeah, so while when we look at customer-centric transformation, from an IT or tech or digital lens, but I think for me, those formative years in my career, when I was doing customer service, uh, so that helped me develop the skill set of empathy, empathizing whether those were the disgruntled, very unhappy customers, or it was dealing with the channel partners and their pain points, ability to understand that. And then I would say that when I joined Infosys, that time, that was like 15, 16 years back. I think customer concept of customer experience journey was really, really new back then. So I really got fascinated by the concept of creating a customer experience journey map, and then identifying initiatives, and mapping the journey. What are the points that are troubling the customer? How do you elevate the experience, etc., etc. So that was the first time when I kind of started looking into that area, and then I wrote a lot of papers, gave a lot of talks, and all. And then when I moved to TCS, I actually joined customer experience management practice, because that had become an important. By that time, I think I was clear that this is an area I want to excel in, and I did that. And then digital came along, and I sort of stepped up and volunteered to lead the digital practice within manufacturing at TCS, and I set up that practice. And when I moved to CET, by that time I had also, in my stint at TCS, understood about design thinking methodology, and how you can really create superlative customer experiences, right? And I was very, very passionate to introduce design thinking to CET. And then we had a boutique consulting firm come and present to our senior stakeholders. Somehow it didn't click. Then I got one of the big four consulting firms to do that. Somehow that also didn't work out. So I said, let me do it myself. And I said, I'll do it in context of CET. And that time, there was a consumer insight head, and I partnered with her, and we put together a workshop for her senior leadership. And we said that let's give them a real problem statement. So typically the quarterly schemes, when they go out to dealers and retailer channel, those are the language, etc., is not very refined. It is very basic. It's not created with the same kind of customer experience lens that we do our apps, right? And we identified it as a pain area that people would take a lot of time to understand that. So that was a ingoing hypothesis. And I made them call, we made them these 12 senior leaders call up the dealers, and take the feedback on that, how well they understand or not. But when they spoke to them, the actual reasons came out to be totally different. And when this workshop happened, after that full day workshop, spending 8 hours in trying to solve an actual problem, and realizing that unless you involve the end customer, in the solution, you may be trying to address a completely different problem, which may not be a problem at all. So I think that was the starting point, and it resonated so well with the organization, with the leadership, that I had very little trouble in institutionalizing. So उसके बाद it came to a level that any human centric project we were to do, our my leaders would ask me, has design thinking been done? If that has happened, only then we will talk about it, what to do. Before that, we will not talk about it. And in the process, I kind of, because you can't hire consultants to design thinking every time, it's not required also, and it's very expensive also. So uh, I kind of worked out my own framework of doing a sort of a speed design thinking kind of a thing, which doesn't involve a lot of money, and can do things, if not 10x, at least 5x better than without this. And I have used that to deliver multiple projects now. I mean, at Polycab also, I'm institutionalizing it. So we have a very big program that got rolled out, a very massive loyalty program for retailers and electricians. So it was built using those insights gleaned through design thinking, which went into requirements, as well as the prototype of the application.
Oh, that's awesome. So, I love it. Like, like you, even I started on customer service, in customer service, and talking to the customers early in your career. I think that gives you some really strong grounding or foundation, as you call that. And then, of course, then your joining the customer experience practice, leading the digital practice. On design thinking, when we were prepping up, there were a lot of resonances, as I call them, which were happening. And so this one happened right now. Okay. So um, in 2016, when I kind of laid out the digital strategy for Tata Motors in front of Gunther, who was our MD, he was very excited. He said, "Let's go." And I was like, "But can you do it? I mean, are we ready to do it?" And the next question was, "Why?" I said, "Does your team think like that? I mean, does your A team think like that? All your direct reports?" And that got him thinking. And he said, "So what's the his answer was no." And he's like, "So what do you suggest?" He said, like, let's do a design thinking workshop with them.
Yeah.
So I worked with SAP Germany, the German connection. So and we actually brought their global experts, and about 25 of top leaders of Tata Motors. We took them to Bangalore, put them into sneakers and shoes and and t-shirt, sneakers and jeans and t-shirts, no tables, no formality, and then just put them through 2 days of uh, of breaking a lot of old molds, and then doing this one full day of intensive, going around whiteboarding, discussing, and then coming up with some big ticket ideas, opportunities in auto industry. So that was a fascinating one. And I think after that, nobody has been able to catch up Tata Motors,
Yeah.
especially on the
Yeah.
digital front. And I was,
Yeah.
I think that's a so what you said, this digital. So two or three, takeaways, big takeaways from here. One is that it's not the job of the CD or the CIO to drive transformation. I think it's for every leader, and they need to be thinking like that. What you said. Have you done a design thinking on in workshop? Second is design thinking. I would encourage all our audience to read up on that. I think it starts with the customer in the center. So you have to bring the customer's voice, and then start working around it through various through a structured process, which you can redefine yourself as well as Ritesh did. And I think the third is that um, this my big belief, Ritesh, is that you can call anything, any initiative as digital transformation if at the end of the uh, you know at the end of the chain it is transforming somebody's experience. It can be your customer, it can be your dealer, it can be your employee, it can be any of your other stakeholders. And it's not an incremental improvement. That experience has to be completely transformed for you to be calling it a digital
Yeah.
transformation. So it's
Yeah.
actually about experience transformation. And I think I can see why you are successfully doing it, because one, you know you're bringing the customer voice in the center, taking a completely grounds up process of design thinking, and focusing on the experience. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Ritesh, you just mentioned it in the passing about collaborating with the head of customer experience and designing that workshop and all. And I think when we were talking, one of the themes we identified that you're good with people, not with machines, and that's been your theme. So collaboration and taking people along has been a pattern. And you can share like a few incidents where it stood out, and then especially how important as a CDO is to take everybody along and collaborate, and especially in a cross organizational scenario, which is with your partners and other stakeholders like big fours and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that is something. uh, I mean, it's so obvious that if you want to win, you have to take others with you, and it's a win together. It's not a win lose kind of a game. So I think collaboration across departments, with your partners, with your ecosystem. I think that's a very very critical element of success. And for example, I don't consider I hate to call my partners vendors, right? Because vendors are typically old school. I give the orders, you take them, and I work very very closely with them, and I treat them as my own team members. So to me, that is a very important part, and I think I'll just share one example with you, which kind of brings together whatever I have learned and done in terms of collaboration. So uh, when I was with TCS, we got a RFP in the early days of digital, by the way, when ticket sizes of digital projects was $500,000 or $1 million dollar max, kind of a thing. So that time we got a very large RFP from Bridgestone, Japan, for their global digital strategy. And that was obviously a very, very prestigious project, but it was in Japan. So that was a time when I had just taken over the charge of setting up the digital practice for manufacturing in TCS. So, so that was a time, along with my team members, I kind of locked myself in a war room for 2 weeks and built a lot of assets and put across a response to that RFP. And it was taken very well by the customer. But the interesting part about that entire winning the deal and executing the project for 6 months was the number of participants. So within TCS is a very very large organization with multiple business units, and since this was a very prestigious project, so there were multiple parties involved. We had put together a team internally, so there was digital center of excellence which was involved. There was research and analytics team which was involved, digital team was there, and in Japan that time TCS had just bought Mitsubishi IT, so they wanted to front end the project. And then we had a third party boutique consulting firm, uh, who was excuse me who was basically roped in to manage the senior management at Bridgestone. So there were these five different entities with extremely different set of experiences, backgrounds, expectations from the project. I think those 6 months I would have slept on an average 4 5 hours a night. uh, but yeah, it took all the. I mean, it's the best lesson I could have got in collaboration, running governance, communication, working in a super systematic manner, because the translations also had to go out before every meeting, so on and so forth. So I think that was something which trained me and groomed me and taught me the importance of timely communication and running governance, and science it out essentially. So
I think the good, very good insights there, Ritesh. That you can't be tactical. You have to be structured. If you have to take multiple people along, governance plays a very important role. A very structured system of reviews and decision making, and then communication is very important. So I know I'm kind of like before we go forward, I just want to bring in a few comments, questions. Well, there's a question from Satya, but he made a very cheeky comment. If you change the timing to accommodate DST, I'll get that award. So he joins from Texas, and I think this is like some 7 o'clock his time, if I'm correct. I
yeah.
mean, Satya has really surprised me, even like in the winter time when he has attended our meetings at like 5 o'clock, means like 5:30 in the morning. But
Wow,
thanks Satya for that,
that's a commitment,
and
Satya.
he has yeah, absolutely. So he has to give a simple example of application of design thinking in your project. Maybe just one case study, Ritesh, and some
Yeah.
insights.
So I will share one quick 1 minute snippet with you, that how I run it. I think the problem statement could be any. but essentially just to save a lot of money. I mean, some very critical project where you are expecting like really, really big breakthroughs. In those cases, you need professionals, design thinking professionals to run that. But for most of the projects, what has worked very well for me is that I set up an advisory panel of the users. So if it is dealers, then 8-10 dealers. If it is salespeople, some sales initiative, 8-10 sales guys. If it is employees, 8-10 employees, so on and so forth. And basically, the requirements are run through them. Their pain points are understood. So it's a typical customer inciting kind of a format. When we are ready with the wireframes and the visual designs, we hand it over to them. Sometimes a different set of users, sometimes the same set of users, depending on the context. And we take their feedback. We observe a lot that, for example, we recently did the loyalty program app for electricians. And for electricians, you have to make a very, very simple UX, right? UI and UX. So we would hand it over to them and see if they are able to, navigate their way by themselves, or they need help. So that's an acid test. If they can figure it out and they can use the application themselves, that's one of the biggest tests for the application. And once that is done, those feedbacks are taken, only then the development work starts. And then those people also become your pilot customers and early adopters. And then we also take testimonials from them. And when we are scaling up pan India, then we use those testimonials to do the marketing. So because adoption is also key, and if you have some users who adopt it and are able to give you, good feedback, and typically these people by the end of it, they kind of start owning the project. They also become passionate about it, and I think that's a key to what I do in most of the applications.
Oh, that's really awesome. So, when I was thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, you know what? The design thinking initially, how it evolved was to basically, do the specs and then start working on the product development. But in case of IT initiatives, it's
Yeah.
actually, it has to take that agile form that you keep bringing these guys, once in a while, and then by the end of it, you have the evangelists, not just users,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
evangelists. That's an
One
awesome.
important thing I forgot to mention, when we interact with these users, and that's a very, very critical point, uh, we prefer to meet in their surroundings, in their shops, or how they are traveling, how they are going. Because if you put them in a conference room kind of a setup, that also we do for focus group discussions. But when you set them up in a room, then their natural behavior changes. But if you go to a retailer in his counter and sit there while he's doing business, your observations, and when you interact, the kind of insights that you get are really, really rich.
Yeah, that's an absolute must. Yeah, to be to experience whatever you are
Yeah.
going to do in their context. Yeah.
Uh,
So
no, I thought
so there's a lot.
simplify because I used the word advisory panel. So later I thought it may give a feel that these 8-10 people come and sit in a conference room, which is not the case at all.
Absolutely, absolutely. No. So there's a long question, but just to kind of do justice to our impending discussion, which I'm sure everybody's waiting for. If you can give a short answer to this, because I know it will be difficult given that the question is long. So Amrinder is asking, how do you deliver a great CX in today's environment where privacy has become important, customer does not want intrusion, yet the right and comprehensive information has to be delivered to him, her, for which they don't have the time for. And the customer behavior has become finicky, very transactional, instant gratification driven, and so on.
Can I answer in 2 words?
Yeah, sure.
Personalize and in context. If you do that, you won't go wrong with that. Some odd customers will still be unhappy about it, but I think you will take care of the needs of 90 to 95% of your target audience if you personalize, and if it is in context of the work that you're doing, giving them a nudge or a message at the right point of time in their journey.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I agree with you. You have to be First thing, you have to be solving a real problem, and with the template that Ritesh just provided, form an advisory panel, keep bringing them into the project from time to time. I think you will have a solution which will have the a very necessary element of advocacy in that,
Yeah.
which will make it happen. Yeah. So Ritesh, let's get on to this health, fitness, and longevity. By the way, I was like curious that how is longevity. When you mentioned the word longevity, I kind of quickly connected that it's much more. So um, I mean, let's start from the starting point where you couldn't keep up with your daughter in Goa, and then take us through the journey of discovering fitness as your next passion in life. And guys, like I think this is the most important part of it. Please ask as many questions as you can to Ritesh on this. Let's focus the rest of the discussion on this then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ritesh,
no,
over to
I'm
you.
so excited, Jagdish, and thanks for giving me an opportunity to talk about this, because these days, my team members know it very well that, I can't just stop talking about fitness and its importance in our lives. So, I was mentioning about that Bridgestone project where I was getting just 4 hours of sleep, right? So that was just before I joined CET, and that was a time when I felt that I'm burning out. I had become fat. I was haggard. At 40, I probably looked 50 plus. Um and I wasn't able to spend much time with my daughter, and things were not going in the right direction. And I said, this is simply not sustainable. So that was one conscious decision. I think the best decision I made in my life was that I want to move to a job which is a regular 9 to 6 kind of a job, because with globe at that time I was managing US, Europe, Japan, so it was like round the clock kind of a working, right? And I shared with you that my daughter on a Goan beach was running when she was 3 years old, and I had to catch her, and I just started panting within like 2-3 minutes of running. So that was like a wake up call, and that's when I moved to Seat, which is an Indian company, and does not have a they export, but not that they have various offices and all. So it was a 9 to 6 kind of a job. So I think that was the first time when I thought 8 years back that I need to invest in fitness. And if I divide it into phases, I'm in phase three. Phase one was when I address, and obviously it was not well thought out. Now I'm saying that there are 4 phases to that. But when I started, I just was desperate to become better and not have all these problems, right? So phase one was an explorer phase where I joined gym and my daughter joined tennis classes. I also joined that. So in 3 years, I reached a decent level, but still I wasn't very happy about it. So I went and met a nutritionist, and that was sort of phase two, which I would say is a foundational phase, which at the minimum all of us should do, because I realized that I was not eating right, both from a timing perspective and what I should have been eating. And I think changing in nutrition was one very very big step for me, and it really gave me a lot of energy and overall feeling of wellness, right? And then the phase three started about 2 years back, when I had kind of turned 48, and I came across this article in newspaper of a gentleman called C.R. Rao, who at the age of 103 won the international prize on statistics, right, which is an Nobel Prize equivalent for statistics. And I was like quite amazed, and I looked up, and that gentleman had worked in ISI for 40 years, and then moved to US, pursued some further education, started teaching, and basically was working till the very end. And I was quite impressed. And coincidentally, around the same time, I also, watched this documentary, Chris Hemsworth documentary on TV called Limitless, which is a 6-episode docu-series where he talks about longevity, and he does a lot of experiments, meets a lot of experts on longevity. And there, I from that, basically my key takeaway was that, okay, let me put things in an Indian context. When we won our independence, the average age was not even 40, life expectancy. Now, as we speak, it is around 72. But if we talk about people who, like us, who are fortunate enough to have access to good healthcare, medical care, etc., we will live to be 80, 90. If you focus a little bit on fitness, and as medicine improves, I think 90 plus is going to be a norm for people in our age group. Now, if you look around you, unfortunately, only 1 in 4 people who live to be that long, to 80, 90, are fit till the very end. Mostly, they have diseases that, make them bedridden and all of that. And they lack excitement in many cases, unfortunately. So these were 2, 3 data points which hit me very, very hard. And I was like that, if I'm going to live to 90 or whatever, and if I retire, let's say at 60, I still have 30 years. So while I may want to, save money and do all the things, but if I don't sort out my next 30 years, don't start planning about it, then things won't move. So for forward. So that is when I decided to educate myself. And in last 1.5, 2 years, I have read a lot of literature on very, very difficult topics. And because I'm an engineer, and many of these things, when you go into the science of it, it's a lot of bio. So reading it, understanding it is also quite difficult. But I'm really enjoyed reading it. And I would say now I'm in my phase 3, which is kind of an advanced level, uh, where I'm optimizing my health a lot. So I'm optimizing my health through, for example, sleep had always been a big issue for me. So I managed to, fix my sleep issues. I got into minimalism because all these things take time, and you also need your cognitive energy and peace, right? Then I got into thermoregulation. I also read up that, stability along with weight training and running and all, stability is very important. So I started taking kickboxing lessons over a year back, right? So then I wasn't a great runner because I had never done exercise from 25 to 42. So running, I realized, is very important, and the way you run is also critical. So I got into zone 2 running, VO2 max kind of for running. So all of this put together has has actually given me a lot of energy. And and all of us deal with that brain fog, your mind not working sharply, or when you wake up in the morning, some days you feel energetic, some days you don't feel energetic, or you feel lazy, or you feel like staying in bed or whatever. But I think last one year or so, I haven't had many such days. Maybe, I mean, I can count on my fingers the number of such days I would have had. So it has given me a lot of clarity, ability to make decisions fast, ability to multitask very well. And I think in next 2 years, I'm going to read up even more. I have already a list of things that I want to do, read up, or practices that I want to do, or things I want to try out. For example, every quarter I have decided I'll try one kind of thing. For example, I got my VO2 max checked, which is basically you run on a treadmill, and you have oxygen intake attached to a mask and carbon dioxide outlet also. So it basically, VO2 max is a measure of the maximum oxygen you can consume when you are giving your maximum output. And it's a very, very good indicator. It's supposed to be one of the best indicators of longevity, how long you are going to live. And and if you are going to live healthy. So turned out I had a very good VO2 max, which I'm now looked up how to push it even further. So by the way, uh, the guy told me, the physiotherapist who did this VO2 max test, that I have a body of a 30-year-old right now, and right now I'm 50. Uh,
Wow.
and thing is that when you do these kind of things like this test, there is a lot of data that they give you. So with that data, I make an action plan. So for example, zone two running, because I never ran long distance. And it took me, I thought I'll be able to fix it in 3 months, but it took me 6 months to reach a point where I can now run 45 minutes, at a pace of 9 kilometer per hour kind of a thing. And it's a very, very important thing because he said your VO2 max is really good, but you need to also work on the efficiency of your engine, that how you are on slow running, how you are consuming that air. Yeah, so I hope that I would be in many ways reach a mastery level by the age of 52, because every quarter now I have planned that I want to do a DEXA test, which is for bone density and muscle mass. I want to do a genome mapping and see, and after doing all these tests, make an action plan, because there's whole amount of data. And post when I retire from this job, I want to pursue a career in longevity. So it
Awesome,
was
awesome.
a very long monologue, but
No, no, no. I mean, that was like one of my observations that you have a I would say an extraordinary amount of clarity, and that's something that I think we found during our prep chat as well. But I think so Ritesh, there are some aspects of what you mentioned which I want you to dwell in, because I think those are very valuable. So let's start with gut health. I think that's something which you didn't talk about just now.
yeah, yeah. No, so I have an weak gut condition, which I discovered very late when I met my when I started going to a nutritionist. That's when I discovered, and that's why it was a game changer for me, because my gut's ability to absorb nutrients was limited, and by fixing my gut, uh, the nutrient absorption for me has significantly improved, and that's what has taken me to the next level of health and fitness. So I think uh, uh, you know because of a lifestyle stress, uh, and indiscriminate use of antibiotics, not eating enough gut friendly food, eating a lot of junk food has basically resulted in deterioration of a gut biome. And that's why a lot of people are allergic to gluten, that is wheat. And I think for most of the people now, if they quit wheat, it's a game changer, because people typically who have a sedentary lifestyle typically would find it very difficult. Their gut will find it very difficult to process gluten. uh, so yeah, I think and gut is connected to your emotions, gut is connected to your brain also. So the role of gut, and the traditional science also had a very limited understanding of the role of gut. But now the latest research papers, etc., that are being done, uh, it's like we have just scratched the surface in terms of how important the gut is to all of us, to a
So
human body.
so Ritesh, how do you get started? Let's say I want to start with the assessment of my gut. So how do you get started?
Yeah, so there are gut biome tests also, which I haven't done.
Okay.
Uh, but I think certain basic things are that what I do, because irrespective of the food that you eat, whatever you do, I think the kind of lives we are leading, the kind of the kind of food that is available, with pesticides and all of that. Uh, so I think the quality of food also that we access has deteriorated quite a bit. So, and especially in my case, I think, and I strongly uh, advocate uh, that one should also take a supplement while you do your curd, you do your fruits, you do your stir fry veggies or veggies in different forms, which are very rich sources of making fiber, which is food for your gut. So all of that is great, but I think if you have to take one supplement, that I would suggest should be a prebiotic. And
Okay.
you take it in the morning, empty stomach, so that you have good bacteria through the day. Take a slow release capsule. Go for for a good brand, because I think in the supplement and protein supplement market, you know, you really have to look hard to get the right quality and the right kind of supplement, because unfortunately I think we don't have the kind of regulations which would ensure that whatever they are saying on the label is actually correct. Recently there was a study on protein supplements which said 80-90% of protein supplements sold in our country, what they say in the label, it doesn't match the label.
Yeah. No, I saw one. I think it was Protein X, some supplement for mothers, lactating mothers, which is like protein heavy. And I looked at the label, and it was like, I think some 15 or 20% protein, and rest of it was carbohydrates. So it's very important to read the labels also. So Ritesh, there's another important aspect that I want you to delve a little bit more on. And you also mentioned that it also depends on the time of the day how you do that. Is this thermoregulation, which is
Yeah.
probably the
Yeah.
first time I heard when you told me about it. So I want the audience to also kind of benefit from it. But Ritesh, I'm just going to put you on a solo mode. I'm just going to take a 1 minute bio break while you talk about thermoregulation. I'm nearby, so I'll be hearing all of it. Okay,
Okay, cool, cool.
go ahead.
Yeah, so thermoregulation basically is the heat circuit of your body. So the way your body works is that along your spine you have brown cells. Brown cells are the cells that are rich in mitochondria. Mitochondria is what generates power in and energy in the body, right? So that I think all of us remember from our school days. Uh, so what happens is when you wake up in the morning, your core should be hot, because that means you have energy to do the activities during the day. And when you want to sleep, your core should be cold, because you have to rest. So you don't want to expend energy. Otherwise, you will end up being very active when you are trying to sleep. Uh, so at least 2-3 days in a week, what I do is before going to sleep, I go for steam or sauna bath at a very, very high temperature. So what it does is that when the body senses that your shell temperature, that is your surface temperature, is increasing, right? So the body says that it is time to cool down because the temperature is going up, right? So the brown cells, they stop producing more energy and your core becomes cold. And by the way, sauna or steam, doesn't matter what you do. It's about heat treatment, deliberate heat exposure. No matter what you do, it reduces chances of cardiovascular diseases and neurodegenerative diseases by a great margin, right? And in mornings, 2-3 times in a week, I take a chill shower. I don't mean कि bathroom के shower का I turn the tap to the cold side, but I actually mean 5 degrees centigrade water, or if there's an access to ice bath. Uh, so now cold water does the reverse. It basically tells the body that the core needs to warm up, and you get more energy. And I mean, if you haven't tried it, try it once. I mean, it may be a little scary that to get under such cold water or into an ice bath, but what it will do to your body, it will give such a big dopamine hit that will last you for 3-4 hours. You will breeze through the first half of your day, with very high levels of energy, and you will do entire day's work in half a day, right? And what this cold exposure also does, it converts white cells into brown cells. So your body's ability to generate energy also becomes higher, because more number of brown cells, more mitochondria, and more energy. And like I was telling earlier that in last 18 months, I don't think I've got a cold or been sick or anything of that sort. And
Touch
the
wood.
cold exposure uh, uh, also helps you do stress management better, because you are pushing when you step into an ice bath, you are basically pushing your body towards extreme stress, right? And when you do it again and again, the body gets used to the stress. Your stress management, which means you're under stressful situations in a day-to-day life also, your cortisol doesn't spike, right? So you remain calm and control even under adverse situations. And it is, and all of us, in leadership roles, have a lot of stress to deal with at work. So it just makes it really easy to deal with that kind of stress. So huge proponent of thermoregulation, because the benefits are humongous. If you don't have uh, a steam sauna or chill shower facility, you can just take a hot water bath before going to sleep and make it really hot. Don't hurt yourself in terms of, don't scald your skin, but as much as you can put up with, it will have similar kind of effects. And similarly, nowadays you get those tubs. I think on Instagram, etc., you see a lot of ads which are portable, which you can keep in the corner in a bathroom and put ice and water in that to get cold water. So it is doable, and the returns are humongous.
Yeah. No, Ritesh, I can vouch for it because we had our chat last I think last weekend, and afterwards I have actually I'm in Pune, so and it's monsoon time here, so the water really gets cold at night. It's definitely not 5 degrees C, but I was like, okay, let me first see if I can handle the normal cold water. And it wasn't easy, but like in the morning especially, I've got into this habit of taking cold bath. I used to do that, but like it just happens, the normal entropy. Your wife had put on the geyser for her bath, so you say, chalo Beti Ganga mein haath dho lo.
Yeah. So I
So
think this whole fitness thing, it's a virtuous cycle. See, the more
absolutely.
you do it, the more energy you get, and you are able to, and you overcome that inertia. This thought got triggered when you mentioned the word entropy, right? So your body naturally overcomes that, because you have so much energy and you get an idea and you are like, okay, let me do it. You
Yeah, yeah. No,
There's no
absolutely.
lazy bone then in your body when you get into that kind of a zone.
Absolutely. And then, yesterday morning I went for golf. So I actually do yoga every day. And so I did my yoga in the evening. And then I remembered what you told me. So actually switched on the geyser and I took a hot bath at night. And I mean, I can tell you the quality of sleep I had yesterday was like phenomenal, phenomenal.
Yeah.
So guys, it works. And I think, Ritesh, what's more important is that, many times we just do it for just simple, thing of fitness. But the moment, what I really liked is that it just broadened the whole concept to longevity. And I think you made a very apt comment when we were talking earlier, was that we invest in our financial security for your old age. We should also invest in our
Yeah.
in our health related, invest in our health, so that we last that long, what you were talking
Yeah.
about. So just being conscious of time, Ritesh, we are like just at the end of it. So as usual, we are guys, all my audience, we are a little late. So, but I don't want to leave out the last part of it. So give us 5 to 10 more minutes. So, Ritesh, we have now the rapid fire round. And by the way, everyone, I've requested Ritesh for some resources which we will include in our timestamp post that we bring out a couple of days later, which is a summary of the 1 hour, and we will be putting a special page on that with the with the resources like the Chris Hemsworth documentary, and some books and all that Ritesh will give us. So if any one of you have any rapid fire questions for Ritesh, please shoot them here. Meanwhile, let me start with a question which is not really a rapid fire question, Ritesh, but I want you to convert it into a rapid fire question given the paucity of time. Prabhakar is asking, would like to know your view on the strategic IT innovation with respect to the window of differentiation, shortening the lifespan of ideas, solutions, product, etc., shrinking. So the window of differentiation is shrinking. So how do you do strategic IT innovation?
Yeah, so it's not an it's a very difficult question, to be honest. Cracking it, I haven't cracked it, to be honest. Uh, but I strongly believe in the concept, like all of us. I think I'm not saying anything new, but the power of doing POCs and Jagdish, what you were saying, no, actually you should talk about it, because the Tata Motors culture that you had built, where business was coming to you, for POCs, कि मतलब हमें access दे दो, we will want to run a POC. Actually, that's a state that I am working on right now. That how do we ensure that it gets democratized? Because see, right now, when it's happening centrally, right? I mean, at the end of the day, magic happens at the intersection of business and technology, right?
Absolutely,
So
absolutely,
if business understands technology better and technology understands business more, you know that's the sweet spot where innovation happens. uh,
absolutely.
so I'll leave at that, and there are multiple ways of doing that, traditional
So I
ways, more.
will. I mean, since Ritesh mentioned, and we had discussed this. So my quick ones on that. Typically IT has an attitude that any kind of suggestions for IT programs, vendors, etc., coming from business, you look at it with a bit of cynicism that yeah, technology ka fashion hai, and all that. But I've always looked at it as like okay, so these guys are like they want to do something with technology. So as a technology head, I should be very happy about it. So indulge them, entertain them, and then see like whether the seriousness goes enough for them to commit the resources and do POCs and all of that. So
Yeah,
the moment you are completely open on your side, you are able to distinguish the wheat from the chaff. So by the
yeah.
way, wheat is not good for health, as Ritesh mentioned. So on that humorous note, let me come to the rapid fire. So
and
yeah,
and
so Ritesh,
I think, just to add to that, I think staying curious is very important. So,
absolutely,
and when I recruit, I look for curiosity. If I feel it's especially, hiring someone in data and analytics, ideally for on any sphere, but especially, people joining in data analytics or customer experience side, I think that curiosity is a very, very important trait.
absolutely. So Ritesh, I held you back from answering that question at that time.
Yeah.
So now, so why did you not join REC Kurukshetra but PEC Chandigarh?
Yeah, the answer is quite hilarious, because I went to Chandigarh and I looked at the city and I was like, what a city. I looked at the girls, I said, wow, what pretty girls. And my decision was made there and then.
Awesome. Okay, so your most memorable training experience.
So we had a training on, you won't believe it. So Tata Motors Telco then used to invest heavily into training. And they trained us on, they got a trainer who was, I think, a retired brigadier or something, to train us on etiquette, who taught us various kind of glasses, champagne flutes, wine glasses, white wine, red wine, cognac glasses, various kinds of forks and knives, how you should wear clothes, how you should wear socks, what kind of belt will go with, casuals and formals, etc., etc. So I thought that was quite remarkable, and I don't hear any corporates doing these kind of training nowadays.
No, absolutely. No, I think that gives a lot of confidence and like just sort of brightens up your personality. And more importantly, when you're coming across global audience, the level of self assurance and confidence it gives you is like amazing. So okay, now the other one, your most stressful professional moment.
Most stressful professional moment. Uh, I think one was definitely, this whole stint in Japan, the 6 months project, dealing with the uh, Japanese leadership while using a translator, and half the time you are not sure when they start talking. First they talk in Japanese, and then you listen to the translation. So I thought that was quite nerve wracking, because it was a very high stake, high visibility project as well.
And the communication is running at half the speed.
Yes, yes. So you are always, thinking कि अभी उससे क्या बोला होगा उससे. You are trying to guess.
Correct. Okay, so three things that a leader has to stop doing to make space for his own growth. I asked this question to my guests so that a lot of our audience are like aspiring to be leaders. So I want, like, what should they stop doing to facilitate their own growth?
I think one is, uh, stop being a control freak. Uh, because we have more experience and certain things, because of that experience we can do it better. So I mean, people will make mistakes. We also make mistakes, but if they don't do mistakes, they won't learn.
Correct.
It is difficult, because when I practice let go, that let my team look into it, and you can see that this is not right, this could have been done better, but you need to let go of that. And obviously you let go where the stakes are lower. Where the stakes are higher, you don't let go. So I think uh, one important thing is that. uh, Second thing is, set aside time for yourself to think. Right, most of the times we are running from meeting to meeting, uh, writing emails, doing all of that stuff. But sometime, if you can get to relax, just close your eyes, focus on a problem, or focus or visualize the path ahead. It's a very, very powerful technique. You do it for 10-15 minutes, the benefits are many. So uh, I think we do too many meetings. Honestly, I feel that in corporate we do a lot of meetings, and somehow, if it's 30 minutes, you somehow want to consume those 30 minutes, or you stretch the meeting to those 30 minutes. So, or it's 60 minutes, the meeting gets stretched to 60 minutes. So those are the kind of things that I think we need to stop doing. Uh, and another thing which I keep telling my team also, I tell it to myself also, that stop looking at your department or your application or platform that you maintain. Start thinking like a CEO. if let's say if I'm a platform manager of Salesforce, and if there is an issue, or something needs to be done, my favorite thing to tell my team is, think, if your salary, if your bread and butter was totally linked to it, at that point of time, will you say that this is something which business didn't do, that's why it didn't happen? The moment you try to put on that CEO kind of a hat, that this is my baby, then automatically you will find a way to solve the problems.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you'll be able to optimize between business and technology. That's also very important. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my last question for you is advice for next generation leaders.
Advice for next generation leaders. I will, I'll take an analogy from fitness only, that it's a marathon and not a 100-meter sprint. So a lot of youngsters who come there, they feel that things are not moving fast enough, they should be done, while that urgency is good, but good things take time. Planning is important, planning takes time. So be patient.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's fantastic. So Ritesh, I have been the one who's been asking you questions, so I give you a revenge question. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so because we have a common background, both of us have been, you for the longest part of your career been associated with Tata Motors. I was also fortunate to be part of that organization for 5 years. So what are your, like, one or two fondest memories from Tata Motors, especially from your early days?
Yeah, so actually, like, I mean, the memory is different, but the takeaway is the same. Protect your subordinates. So so this happened. I was in this GET period and in construction equipment, and we were supposed to actually go to the field for I think a week at a time and spend time under service engineers, basically shadow them and learn the tricks from them. Okay, so I land up in Hyderabad, and there's nobody in office. Okay, so I wait there, wait there. In the evening, everybody comes in, and I get to know that everyone is actually going through a Microsoft training program, entire office. Okay, and my boss calls me and says, Jagdish, ये ले चाबी, ये गाड़ी का चाबी है. So we had kept a Yamaha in Ramagundam, and तुम कल सुबह का बस से निकल जा. Go tomorrow morning to Ramagundam. And there are like some 15 new machines there, and you basically just take care of those machines and some preventive maintenance and all. Call up every evening and we'll tell you what to. I said, but I came here to shadow somebody, right? I mean, I don't know how these machines are maintained. I came here to learn how it is maintained. Said, Salah, everyone is going through Microsoft training, okay, and they've just started. So how can I send anybody with you? Then he understood, and he tells me, he smiles and tells me, "Tu Salah, तू मशीन को तोड़ दे, गिरा दे, जला दे, कुछ भी हो जाए, ठीक है, डोंट वरी, दादा है इधर." So it's like, you break a machine, burn a machine, whatever, you have to do. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'm here. And that kind of just set me so free. I can't describe that feeling. The thing is that the knowledge was there, but that confidence was not there. And just that, Varadhasta of the boss gave me so much of confidence. So I actually went next day, spent next week or so in Ramagundam driving a Yamaha, and it was really super hot. And I actually applied all the tricks of the trade on how to learn. So the typical thing was, okay, so I'll ask the operator, okay, so do you know how to change the engine oil? He's like, sir, I'm doing this for 15 years. I said, no, I want to see whether you're doing it right. So show me how. And then he'll do it and I'll learn.
That's quite
that's,
interesting.
that's how I learned.
Yeah, yeah,
And like in that process, I would tell him a little bit about some things he wouldn't know. Like, for example, in theory, we have all read that the engine oil sump has this, this plug, which actually
yeah,
has a magnet at the end of
yes,
it too. Right?
yeah.
So after everything has been done, I would tell him, okay, so what is on the plug? And I say, do you know there's a magnet there? Okay, and this guy would like, yeah, sabko malum hai sir.
And then you could have asked, what is this magnet for?
Yeah. So so I would teach them theory, they would teach me practical,
Yeah.
and I think that was how I learned. So you brought back some good memories, Ritesh. So just Ritesh, before we call it a day, a quick summary of the session. So yeah, three phases of Ritesh's career: um, customers, processes, crisis handling in Tata Motors and Maruti, then consulting, and then CDO. Um, uh, yeah, so grounding, very solid grounding in customer service, which kind of paved the way for the future. Joining the customer experience practice, setting up digital, and then applying all of that collective knowledge in the digital transformation, where as he shared, the starting point is bringing the customer in the center using the process of design thinking. And we also kind of said that, okay, design thinking has an agile kind of flavor to it, where you keep bringing customers back into the mix. And how do you institutionalize that, which he didn't see it, where every project will have design thinking kind of process at the start. And then talking about the approach to partners, that partners are partners, not vendors, and you got to treat them as your own team. By the way, Ritesh, this is really one theme that has found a lot of resonance. Right from my first guest Vijay Sethi onwards, I've heard so many of my CIOs and CDOs mention this, that I don't want to call my partners vendors. Okay,
Yeah.
they are my partners because the capabilities they bring, are like distinguishable, that I can't bring them on my own, and I need to really partner with them. So then we had some questions from Satya. So design thinking at work, which is how we kind of discovered that agile design thinking, and two words from Ritesh about how to sort of bring in customer experience is personalized and in context of the work. How do you transform digitally, and how do you make customers accept what you're doing in view of privacy and security and all? It is personalized and make it very, very contextual to them. So and then we discussed a lot um, about longevity, which is like a combination of not just fitness, but fitness, thermoregulation, sleep, gut health, etc., etc. And I shouldn't be summarizing it. I think I'll take a lot of time doing that. But yeah, there were some things like I think I must say that which we have not been aware of. For example, gut health and thermoregulation, which so it opens up it's not really learning, but I think it's more like it should open us up to the exploration into what health and longevity is with a broader mindset. And yeah, and then we had a very nice I would say rapid fire round, and refreshing some memories. So on that note, thank you everyone. Thank you, Ritesh, for
Thanks.
being my
Thanks for
guest.
having me on your show.
Thank you so much, Ritesh, and thank you our audience for attending and engaging. We know that a lot of our audience actually watch the recording, so thank you all who are watching the recording. So everyone, please enjoy your weekend and your family time, and thank you once again, Ritesh.
Thank you so much.